Hello, welcome to the tutorial on how to do a Siege Expand in Terran vs Protoss. My name is Cryok and I am a B-level Terran on IC Cup. This tutorial is mainly for beginners who want to get a safe starting point in TvP and a brief overview on how to play after the early game. I hope you will find this useful. I might also talk about some details that aren't that important for newcomers, but can be useful as you get more comfortable with this build. Okay, before I start, some general information on this game. This was played on the Korean server Fish on Fighting Spirit, and the level of opponent is probably around C+. Fighting Spirit has all the standard features like a ramp to your main, a natural with a gas, and an easy to take third base. Okay, let's get started. A Siege Expand is a safe, fast expansion build, where you get fast tanks with siege mode and expand behind it to get an economic advantage. So you should make sure that you build workers at all times, at least until you got your natural up and running. Then it depends on what you want to do next. In this build, you don't want to build Marines if you don't have to. So in order to not die to early Zealot aggression, you should wall in. To do this, just send an SCV at 8 population to your entrance at around 50 minerals and start building your wall in with a supply depot. If you don't know where your entrance is because you play on an unfamiliar map, just send it to the middle of the map, then it will find its way on its own. After the supply depot at 9, you build your barracks at 11 and your gas at 12. Some basic rules regarding wall-in versus Protoss. If you want a Zealot tight wall, just build either 2 supply depots next to each other. They are always Zealot tight, even if they are placed diagonal. Or place the supply depot right of the barracks or on top of it. On the left side and on below the barracks it is not Zealot tight. This SCV will also finish this wall with a second supply depot. When your gas is finished, put 3 guys on gas to start mining. And because Siege Expand is a very safe build, you don't need to scout early. It is enough to send your scouting SCV at 14 supply just to find out where the starting location is. And if you're lucky and scout him on the first try, you might even be able to get in if you went for a Dragoon first build. After your barracks finish your wall with the second supply, but don't build a Marine yet. You need those minerals for a factory. At 88 gas, take 1 guy off gas and build a factory. After you place the factory, you can build a Marine, just to ward off any scouting probe that might be attacking the supply depot or an incoming Zealot. If your SCV gets stuck outside of the wall and you have already a probe here, you should wait until your Marine finishes to scare it away so that he doesn't get any additional scouting information. Then you can lift your barracks and get your SCV back. As you can see, in this game I was lucky and scouted him on the first try, and he's so far doing nothing out of the ordinary, just a 1 gauge core build. Because you usually won't get any more info than this, if you stay in a space, it is usually advisable just to leave before his Dragoon pops so that you can come back later and check if he has an expansion up. When your factory finishes, add a machine shop and put a guy back on gas. And by that time you will also have enough minerals to start building your command center at the high ground. Meanwhile, with your scouting SCV that left the base, you can scout around for proxy locations to see if he's doing something out of the ordinary. And when your tank starts building, you can go back to his base and see what he's doing. One remark regarding this build order: after your machine shop finishes, you start building your tank, then a supply depot, and then siege mode. It might be the case that Protoss was able to scout you before you were able to finish your wall. And because if the probe got into your base, it will probably try to harass your building SCVs. So you should take an extra SCV off your minerals and start chasing it. And also, if you play on older maps which have a bad mineral formation or only 8 mineral patches, you might not have enough minerals to build your CC before you build your first tank. So in that special case, you should wait with your CC until you started your first tank. When you start building your supply depot, start researching siege mode as soon as possible and just produce continuously tanks. As you can see, here I'm trying to get back into space, but usually you won't be able to because most Protosses will block it. But I will usually be able to get into the natural to see if he started an expansion. Because he did not, you can safely assume that he went for either an additional gateway or some tech. After your second tank, you will have enough money to get an eBay started. And the timings of the Siege Expand work in that way that when your CC finishes, you can start lifting it over to your natural right away, because by the time it lands, you should have 2 tanks with siege mode finished, so it will be safe. When your eBay finishes, start building your turrets as soon as possible. 1 at the ramp, 1 at the natural and 1 at the main. So that you don't have to lift your natural again because you went fast DT tech. And you should always build this turret at your ramp, because if you went for some really aggressive all-in proxy, you might be able to snipe the turret if you went for proxy DTs, and then you would just lose the game. Or if he goes for a bulldog attack, means he has a shuttle with zealots and tries to kill your tanks on the high ground. Without the turret, the shuttle would survive and you would have very slim chances to survive the attack in general. As you can see, this Protoss here went for a DT build, but wasn't able to get in, so he did no damage. We can conclude from that his expansion was slower than ours because he went for tech first build. And after we expanded, we have to decide what to do next. Two common options are to go for a mid-game push, like a 5 factory timing push, or to go for a 2-fact third base approach, like Flash style. But because I saw that he went for DT first build, I decided to go for a timing push because I will have the better economy, and also if a Protoss goes for a fast third, he might just outright die. The way to do it is to first start your second factory, then get an academy so that you can, right when you start to push, see what he's doing. And then when you have 300 gas or are about to approach 300 gas, you should cut SCV production to have enough minerals to put down 3 additional factories. In order to have the needed gas, you should stop tank production for a while after your 5th or 6th tank, so that you have also the gas for the vulture upgrades and the add-ons like Comset or Machine Shop. With the vultures, you should then scout if he has a third base or not. In this game, I used the starting Marine as a scout also. When you don't know what Protoss is doing, you should, after your initial 3 tanks, rally your tanks to your main base, because it might be that he goes for a DD drop or a river drop and you want to be able to react fast. But you shouldn't really siege them, because then you might not be able to react fast enough if he goes for a frontal bust. When you research your vulture upgrades, you should go for speed first, because it takes longer to finish. Afterwards, start mines. In that case, they will almost finish up at the same time. When you have a Comset, you can scan his main to see what tech choice he did. As you can see, I scan him and I see 4 gateways and Arbiter tech. And no third base. Even though he doesn't have a third base, I will go regardless, because he has less gateways than I have factories, and that usually isn't good for Protoss. And he went for a fast Arbiter tech. If he would go for a mass gateway style like 6 gate, you should really carefully push, or not at all, just camping outside your natural and take a third behind it, because he already was behind economically. The way you push is you start sending out your vultures to see where his army is, and when you meet it, just back off a little bit, lay some mines and meet up with your tanks. Because of vultures, you know how far you can go without sieging, so you save a lot of time that way. And after you reach his army, just siege up, build some turrets and slowly close in to his base. As you can see, because he went for the Siege Expand build and then fast arbiters, he doesn't really have any units to defend, and I was able to get to his natural without much problems. As you can see, he is basically lost now and realizes this soon. And that was basically it. Thank you for watching.